But it wasn't just young men who made the ultimate sacrifice in the bloody conflict. And Britain's oldest known soldier to die in battle was aged 67 at the time. Henry Webber was too old to serve in the army, but eventually succeeded in allowing the authorities to let him join. He was motivated by a desire to serve with his 3 sons who were all fighting. His great-grandson, Paul Bellinger, is here now to share his story, and it is an incredible one, Paul. Tell us, first of all, his motivation about joining his sons.
Well, I think that, at the time, so many men wanted to join. They wanted to fight. And, he was no different. It was just that his sons were there, and he wanted to be with them, I think.
And he was repeatedly knocked back. So how did it happen in the end?
Yeah, well, I think the first time it was an age thing, that they decided that he couldn't participate. And the second time he mustered 12 outriders, or Rough Riders as they called them. And that was rejected as well. And maybe the War Office decided in the end, we just get this old codger out there and let him go and do what he wants to do.
And he eventually went the year after war broke out, in the summer of 1915. What did he do?
Well, he was in the Transport Division. He was in the 7th Lancs Battalion, and he basically moved horses and men up and down the front. And Somme was the area that he was in from about the 1st of July 1916, I think it was.
He didn't fight with his sons. He just wanted to be part of the whole thing.
He wanted to be there. He wanted to serve in the army, and like so many men, they wanted to be on the front.
So what happened then? How did he die?
Well, that was the tragic thing. They moved up into the Mametz Wood, and a shell just happened to land in the middle of a conversation that he was having with some officers about their position. And he was hit, and he suffered head injuries and was taken off to a dressing station, and he died there.
I mean, ironically, his sons survived, didn't they?
Yeah.
He went to serve almost alongside them, but they carried on living after the war.
Yeah, it's just an extraordinary tale, and they all became rather interesting individuals in their own right. I mean, my grandfather, Leonard, actually, after the war, commissioned and bought the rolling stock and railway lines from the front and put them in their farms in Nocton in Lincolnshire. It was one of the first mechanized farms in the area. So all these guys were extraordinary individuals in their own right.
I know you're 68 now, but you went to visit where your great-grandfather died a year ago, when you were at the same age that he was when he died, 67. When you were stood there, did you think, there's no way I could have done what he'd done at my age, or did you feel some sort of affinity with what he did?
I'm not sure that I would have joined at 67. I think I've won all my fights by 100 yards. So to have to end up on the front in that situation, I think it would have been traumatic.
Yeah, we're talking more about the sort of general history of the Great War shortly on the programme. But I guess the thing is, I mean, you sort of didn't know too much about this until that long ago, and you sort of looked into it and dug into it, and you have this fascinating story. And I guess that's the relevance for many people living today, is they're still within touching distance of what happened 100 years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago, 1914, 1918 meant nothing to me. But after the discovery of, my mother and a brother and sister, it all came to life, and suddenly to find this history is remarkable for me.
Paul, thank you so much for sharing your own personal story here. It's a fascinating one. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.